Hi everyone, in this video we're going to be looking at how to do word level analysis in an English literature essay. Analysis is the core skill of English literature and it's going to be the main element of your analytical essays. This video is going to be useful whether you're analysing an unseen text in an exam or a set text as a part of your course. Here I'm going to provide you with the basic foundations of writing analysis, and if this is all clear then I recommend that afterwards you move on to my video on writing advanced analysis where I go into further detail. So how do we analyse language? The answer is word associations. Philosophers like Ferdinand de Saussure have long argued that language works because when we say a word, we have other words and ideas that we connect with that original word. For example, think of the word rock. When we think of rock, our brain thinks about what we associate with this word. Probably, most people will associate rock with being solid, durable and resilient. So if we use the word rock to describe a person, like in this simile here, he was as tough as a rock, then it carries over those word associations and we consider this man to be durable and strong. This is just a very simple example, but explaining these associations is the foundation of how we interpret meaning in English literature. Here's a similar example of how associations create meaning, but it's a little bit different. Here are two rhyming lines from Keats's poem To Autumn. We often associate rhyme with song and harmony, and this association fits with this poem. So the rhyme here has the effect of implying that there is a beauty and musicality to what the narrator is describing. Rhyming is obviously a kind of literary device, and these devices, along with word choices, convey meaning too. It's really important that you learn these devices so you're able to analyse their impact. Things like metaphor, simile, alliteration, symbolism, lexical fields, and many other devices as well. Okay, so how do we actually write good analysis in an essay? Well, the key is really showing you're working and explaining your thinking, just like you would if you were answering a maths sum in stages in a maths examination. If you watch my video on structure, you'll know that within a paragraph we include multiple lots of evidence and explanation. Let's take a look at how to create one of these chunks of evidence and explanation. So the text we're going to analyse is, "Wow, that old man is as tough as a rock," said Sarah. We're going to pretend that this is from a novel we're analysing in an essay. Obviously this is a super simple example, but it's going to keep how we format our analysis very clear indeed. Okay, so let's see our bit of example analysis. I'll read it out. In her speech, Sarah describes the old man as being as tough as a rock. This simile compares the old man to a hard material. The word rock implies strength and durability. This emphasises the old man's resilience and determination. Okay, so I've kept my analysis here fairly simple. I could probably word this in a more beautiful way if I was trying to write some really advanced analysis, but I'm just trying to keep this nice and simple and clear for us. Okay, so let's see the different parts of this analysis so that we can understand how we're going to structure our analytical responses. So the first part of the analysis is context, then it's quotation, then we have our technique, then denotation and connotation. I'm going to explain what all of these mean to you. Context, first of all, in our analysis, very briefly provides a tiny bit of context so that this quotation makes sense to our reader. Here we've got, in her speech, Sarah describes the old man. So we've got a little bit of context about where this quotation has come from. You want to keep this really brief because you don't want to end up summarising the text. After that, we have the actual quotation itself, which provides evidence from the text to support our argument. The technique section then states the technique that is used and explains how it is used. Remember, if you're analysing a simile or metaphor, you always need to explicitly state the two things that are being compared. I really recommend that you use a synonym when you're explaining the comparison. So for example here I've said compares the old man to a hard material. If I just said compares the old man to a rock, I'd pretty much be just repeating the text and it wouldn't really be showing my understanding. Denotation explains the literal meaning of the word. So here we have the word rock implies strength and durability. The connotation section then builds on the denotation by explaining the associations that are created through this word and through the author's use of language and technique. The connotation section is where you really make bank. Think of all the rest of the analysis as kind of like the setup, and the connotation section is where you get away with all the money and get all the marks. This is because this is the juicy bit where you're explaining to the examiner your interpretation of the text, and that's what they want to see to give you a high grade. I put all of this explanation into this table here so it's nice and clear for you. You might want to use snipping tool or take a screenshot so that you've got this for reference as you're writing an essay. It might seem a little bit overwhelming in this format, but it will quickly become very natural to you when you're writing your essays, and you won't have to think about it. You'll just do this automatically as you're writing out your analysis. Okay, so here's another example. This one's a little bit different. It's based on those two lines of Keats's To Autumn that we looked at earlier in the video. Let's read it out. The poem concludes with a description of the sounds of various animals, particularly conveyed in the rhyming couplet of hedge crickets sing, and now with treble soft the red breast whistles from a garden croft. The rhyme of treble soft and garden croft is gentle and beautiful. This conveys the musicality of the creature's sounds in this moment. So first of all, we have the context again, explaining where the quotation comes from, to give a little bit of background information to the person reading your essay and to make it all make sense. Then we have the quotation itself. We've got the technique, which is rhyme this time. And then we've got the denotation, the literal meaning of the rhyme here. And then we have the connotation, so in other words, the associations that we create in our head with the use of this technique. Again, we need to remember that the connotation is the part of your essay that gets the most marks. It's really the bit we want to focus on and ensure it's as detailed as is possible. In order to really emphasize that we're moving on to the connotations section, it's really important that we make use of signposting. If you watch my video on structure, you'll know how important signposting is. Signposting means using words and phrases to structure your paragraph in a way that guides your reader. These phrases here shout out to your reader, hey, I'm about to do some interpretation. So it's really going to make it clear that this is the analytical bit of your essay. As a final tip, here are some phrases to avoid in your analysis. I very frequently see students use positive, negative, good and bad in their essay. These are very vague, general words. You can always be more specific and explain exactly why something is positive or negative. For example, rather than just saying the comparison to the sun is a positive image, you could write in your essay, the comparison to the sun conveys warmth and vitality. This is much more specific, and you'll be awarded with many more marks if you write like this, rather than using these vague general words like positive. I hope you've got a clear understanding now of the basic structure for analysis. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I recommend that after watching this video, you watch the video on advanced analysis. Please do comment below if you've got any questions, and I'll help you out with an answer. I'd really appreciate any feedback so I can make these videos better, so feel free to leave that in a comment as well. If you haven't already, I strongly recommend you watch the other videos in this series so you have the complete set of tools that you need to write your essay.